Hello everyone and welcome to this video in which we will explain alternative approaches and methods for teaching. Nowadays, different kinds of educational models exist and traditional approaches and methods are becoming less functional. For this reason, it is important to start taking into account new alternatives that facilitate teaching and adjust to the new generations of students. In this video, we present 7 interesting alternatives with characteristics that promote new ways of teaching. Let's start with the first one. The total physical response was a method developed by Professor James Asher and is based on the relationship between language and its physical representation or execution. This method emphasizes the use of physical activity for increasing meaningful learning opportunities and language retention. It has the belief that comprehension abilities precede productive skills. There is no expectation to produce the language, so it takes the pressure off the learner and facilitates learning. Among its characteristics, we find that it's a method that coordinates speech and action, in which grammar and vocabulary are taught first and also are selected according to the situations. The learner listens, watches, and imitates, and the teacher is the main moderator. Some activities that can be carried out through this method include group singing, storytelling sessions, and games like Simon Says. This method is popular with beginners and with young learners, but it can be used with students of all levels and all ages. The next method is called the silent way. It was devised by Caleb Gattegno and is based on the premise that the teacher should be as silent as possible and let the students produce as much language as possible. This method encourages students to think for themselves and to use their own resources. It also allows them to learn at their own pace and to make mistakes without feeling uncomfortable. The teacher's role is to create opportunities for students to explore and experiment with the language. They can use gestures, pictures, or charts to achieve it. The structural patterns of the language are presented by the teacher, and the grammar is learned inductively by the students. This method can be adapted to different class sizes and levels, but it works best with small groups of learners who are willing to participate actively during lessons. Now we have the community language learning, a method developed by Charles Curran and some associates. This is a humanistic method that emphasizes the role of human values and the understanding of the learner's feelings and emotions in the teaching learning process. The students can determine the content and need to work in groups to feel a sense of community and learn from each other as well as the teacher, who is viewed as a counselor responsible for creating a safe learning environment. Among the activities that can be carried out with this method, we find group work, listening, recording, and free conversation. This is a very peculiar method. The multiple intelligences theory was created by Dr. Howard Gardner and to better represent the diversity in human intelligence. This theory not only considers traditional learning abilities, but it also includes more diverse abilities like musical or social abilities. The theory proposes these types of intelligence that we can see in the picture. Each of them are relatively independent of one another. This means that a learner can be highly proficient in one intelligence and struggle with another. By teaching through the dominant intelligence, a teacher can make students more productive, receptive, and willing to participate in the learning process. The multiple intelligences theory expands our horizon of available teaching and learning tools beyond the conventional linguistic and logical methods used in schools. This is a theory that encourages teachers to regard intellectual ability more broadly. The neurolinguistic programming was designed by Richard Bandler and John Grinder and claims that there is a connection between the neurological process and our linguistic capacity. Its aim is to achieve results by altering the thoughts and actions of a language learner by adopting specific techniques like anchoring, mirroring, or rapport building. The techniques and strategies can facilitate language learners and teachers by empowering them to make teaching learning process more effective and goal-oriented. It also results in the enhancement of performance and competencies of learners. Teachers can enhance personality, communication skills, and interpersonal skills of language learners to face the world with confidence. The lexical approach was developed by Michael Lewis and is a way of teaching language based on the idea that language is made up of lexical units rather than grammatical structures. The units are formed by chunks, collocations, and fixed phrases. For this approach, vocabulary has a central role, and lexical units occupy a crucial role in facilitating language production and also are the key to fluency. Fluency does not depend on a set of generative grammar rules and isolated words. On the other hand, teacher's talk is the major source of learners' input. For this reason, the teacher must prepare activities that promote and enhance oral skills. Some activities can include intensive and extensive listening and reading, guessing the meaning of vocabulary items from context, or noticing and recording language patterns and collocations. And finally, the competency-based language teaching that focuses on what students can do with a language and not what they know about language. For this one, language learning always needs to be connected to the social context it is used in. The student's role is to monitor their mastery of the larger competencies and to be able to transfer the skills they develop to a different context. The teacher serves in the role of materials developer and facilitator. Teachers must determine exactly what and how well students must perform in order to master the specific competency. In conclusion, I believe that each of these methods and approaches contribute to making learning less structured and more free, and also encourage a stress-free environment that is essential for learning, especially a second language. All teachers can make use of these approaches to innovate their teaching and get the best out of their students. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for your attention.